Right at this very moment, there's one AI threat that's going on that's the most likely out of all of them to materialize and become reality, and yet nobody is talking about it. In this video, we're gonna reveal exactly what that threat is and, more importantly, what you can do to protect yourself. While AI will definitely bring a ton of benefits to our lives, everybody is preoccupied with the potential downsides of AI. Some of the greatest hits include massive losses of jobs, spreading misinformation and propaganda, AI becoming hostile and turning on humans, AI mistakenly launching a nuke, AI making the human race redundant by leaving nothing for us to do besides sit around and paint, or play banjos, or God forbid spend time with our families. Those are all very scary prospects, and they are realistic to a certain degree. But there is one threat of AI that I don't really see discussed that much, and at the same time I believe that threat is the most realistic one to come to fruition. What is that danger? We'll get to that in a minute. To understand this threat fully, we need a little context first. Let's think about the history of technology. The most impactful technological advancements include fire, agriculture, the wheel, writing systems, printing press, the steam engine, personal transport vehicles, most notably cars, human flight, electricity, the telephone, antibiotics, splitting of the atom, the computer, the microchip, the internet, the smartphone, social media, DNA sequencing, and probably very soon commercial gene editing, and artificial intelligence will likely join this group very soon. Most of these technologies are clear net wins for humanity. Few can argue that antibiotics or agriculture or even electricity have any downsides to them. And even though you may use fire to burn down a puppy orphanage, or you may use your car to drive to some hellhole like your ex-girlfriend's apartment or a Walmart, those are still mostly positive discoveries, whose benefits far outweigh their drawbacks. That seems to be true of most old-school technologies. They either have no real drawbacks, or we've gotten so good at using them that we can manage the risks very successfully. Now, there is at least one bad apple in this happy group of technologies, and that's of course the splitting of the atom. While it has enabled us to use the process to obtain vast amounts of energy in a relatively cheap and surprisingly clean way, we barely use it for that purpose. What we seem to be using it for is to make nuclear bombs. And despite what climate change activists might try to tell you, a nuclear holocaust is and has been the #1 threat to humanity ever since nuclear bombs were invented. We can easily make the argument that this one particular discovery may have been better off remaining undiscovered. So we can already see that technology can bring more bad than good. And then we have a bunch of technologies that may seem good on the surface, but they have been around for so little time and they have come in such a rapid succession that it's really difficult to judge their usefulness and benefits over their drawbacks. I'm talking about all the inventions related to the digital world: the microchip, the computer, the smartphone, the internet, social media, and most likely artificial intelligence. I mean, sure, microchips and computers are super useful, right? Or actually, what exactly do you use them for? Have you ever thought about this, or am I the only one having like these weird thoughts? Okay, you're writing that code for that game, great. But does that game make the world a better or a worse place, all things considered? I'm not trying to bash video games. I still do play them sometimes myself, but it's very easy to make an argument that video games may be more harmful than beneficial for most of us. I mean, think of all the wasted time, the wasted potential, and all of that time I spent playing video games instead of talking to girls when I was younger. It seems like so much waste. And the benefits? Are there even some benefits exactly? Like they're supposed to be fun, I guess, but come on, fun? Is that even a benefit? And sure, you're working in Excel, great. But what is the purpose of that work, that entire process? Chances are you're working for a company that's doing stuff on the internet. Do you even know what it does? What exactly does it do? Sell stuff to other people on the internet, right? It seems like that's mostly what the internet is. A bunch of internet people selling internet things to each other. The only things you really need in your life are the food you eat, the place you live in, and a bunch of other material objects. If you think about it, computers and microchips and smartphones and the internet don't really have that much of a relationship with those items. All these leads and sales operatives and marketing departments and customer support agents, how much actually useful products do they create? They mostly just exchange various useless information between themselves. The internet, which by the way I love from the bottom of my heart, and I would die if I was left just 1 hour without it, sadly it's probably not as useful as we think. You may use the internet to look at cat pictures, or anime tentacle porn, or the next get-rich-quick course that's actually a pyramid scheme, or whatever the kids are into these days. And is that crucial to your survival? I really doubt it. And don't even get me started on social media. I mean, okay, you're kinda watching me because of some form of social media and the internet and all of that, but also like, am I crucial to your well-being and survival? Actually, funny enough, the answer here is yes, but I'm the exception. And I will reveal exactly why in the following video, so hit the subscribe button. But the vast majority of content you consume on social media is useless to you at best, and it's probably harmful to you. It demolishes your attention span and ability to focus, it probably fills your head with marketing and propaganda, and it definitely fuels your anxiety. I mean, social media? Really? Social media? Social media? Come on, we have to agree on this one at least. I want you to seriously think about this. I have thought about this a lot, and I'm really struggling to make an argument that the internet, and in particular social media, does more good than bad for me. And keep in mind that I do this for a living. This is how I make my earnings. Most people just waste their time on the internet. And I waste most of my time on the internet myself, even though this is what I do for work. My point here is that digital technologies have this one inherent quality, this one weakness, that makes their benefits questionable when we compare them against their drawbacks, and maybe makes them not worth the risk or the effort. The main culprit is the creation of the global marketplace. It connects everyone to everyone else, and while that sounds great initially, there's one problematic property that's at play in groups of humans. A property that, while beneficial for some individuals, seems to be harmful to the group as a whole, and a property that only intensifies as the group gets larger. I'm talking about the Pareto principle, or the Matthew effect, or the 80-20 rule, or the 90-10 rule, or winner-take-all systems, or whatever fancy name you want to give it. Formally, this principle states that for many outcomes, roughly 80% of the consequences come from 20% of the causes. Informally, it means that in a group of people, the person that's best at something will reap most of the benefits associated with that thing, while the rest of the people will have to split the difference among themselves. Or, informally, it means that the average person is and the bigger the group gets, the more the average person gets. For example, computers and the internet have given a tremendous financial advantage to nerds. Just take a look at the Forbes list of the richest people. Usually half of them are computer nerds. And social media has mostly given an enormous advantage to, well, guys with abs, I guess. No wonder you can't score a date even though you're true boyfriend material and your mom's favorite. Your roommate that spends 4 hours at the gym and thinks Europe is a country is getting all the action. And your only option is that one Tinder date who's probably a catfish that will not want to split the bill for dinner. In short, digital technologies connect everyone, which exasperates the Pareto principle and increases inequality drastically. And if you think that the internet and social media were bad, wait until you see what AI does. I strongly believe that AI will be the biggest unequalizer ever and will multiply the current economic inequalities many times over. The people that will ride this wave first, or rather the big companies or governments that will manage to get on top after the AI arms race, will manage to build such a competitive moat around them that they may easily dominate every single industry out there and bully everyone else forever. Think about it. If just one company or country or entity manages to get to artificial general intelligence first, it's pretty much game over. It will likely use to grab all the wealth and power out there. And keep in mind that in a winner-take-all world, there is no second place. Still, I don't think a single monopoly is a likely scenario.
What's probably more likely is that a handful of companies that have the access and resources to develop super capable AIs will start dominating industries left and right.
A significant but still small minority of people that get ahead of the AI curve but maybe lack the access and the resources to use AI to its fullest capability might still acquire some wealth and power to remain competitive and relevant in the short term at the very least. If we're lucky, that's us, you and me, buddy. But we're still talking apples and robots here. OpenAI got an investment round from Microsoft worth $10 billion. How much did your little AI startup get again? Anyway, there's still room for competition and innovation. I believe that for entrepreneurs who are already on the AI train, there is still a window of opportunity. But that window is closing fast, and it's gonna start closing even faster as time goes by. The majority of people will never even learn how to use AI properly, and they will have it the worst. Think about your average friend or relative, like your aunt for example. Has she even heard of ChatGPT? If so, you have a cool aunt, but chances are she hasn't. In the future, people who take no action on this will be left at the mercy of the AI overlords. Out of all the threats about AI that people sweat over, I believe this one is the most realistic one, and yet so few people talk about it.
Yeah, AI will launch nukes because it's having a bad day or will go Skynet on us, sure. I mean, it's not impossible, but at the same time it still doesn't seem likely, at least today.
People getting owned by AI without even having a fighting chance, on the other hand, is more than likely.
I believe many of the leaders in the field are aware of this. A notable example is Sam Altman, whose other main project and passion is the idea of universal basic income.
Which is exactly why Sam Altman is definitely not on my list of biggest enemies and international villains. In a way, he's expecting AI to either make most humans sort of obsolete, which is the scenario I was just describing, or make all humans obsolete, in which case the only way humans can continue to exist peacefully and in a somewhat prosperous manner would be through a solution like universal basic income. Now, exactly what will happen after AI makes it game over for anyone who wants to compete is definitely a topic we will explore in another video. My friendly recommendation is definitely not to sit around and cry about how desperate the future is and expect for the AI gods to grant mercy on you with some charitable welfare, like you're some Marxist crybaby. Instead, take action. Get ahead of this disruptive wave and take advantage of it as much as you can, without sacrificing your dignity or humanity, of course. How should you do that? Well, it starts by subscribing to this channel if you haven't. This is one of our first videos, but the majority of our upcoming content will be aimed at keeping you educated and up to date on AI technologies and empowered to make the best use of them. So get on it, don't get left behind, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.